Sometimes we have it all, but we take it for granted because we're so used to having it, we think it's easy for everyone else to have it as well. I am talking about opportunities and education. It's as simple as my experience with my generation and libraries. You may start thinking, our generation doesn't even read books. All we read is tweets. And that's where I'm going to start off. Mark Twain once said, "The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read." Before I moved to the United States 2 years ago, I lived in Puerto Rico, where for some unknown reason, our generation actually enjoys reading. And while I understand that some of the youth in the US also enjoy reading, many do not. But what I'm focusing on is the opportunities that are offered in both places and how they are taken advantage of by our youth. You see, people in the US are so used to the public library, you don't see the great thing it actually holds. You enter the public library, and the teen area is always empty. You enter the public library, and you already think, it sucks because it's public, so it must be for the less fortunate. Only businesses, like Starbucks, are full of people who want to read. But most of them are adults in meetings. They pay to be there. While in a public library, they could be there for free. Back home, I'd give anything to have such a cool library like that. Yes, I said cool. How can a library be cool, you ask? Let me explain. Back home, we try to look for quiet, comfortable places where we could read our books in peace, because our public library did actually suck. It was tiny, it had school chairs, and there weren't any appealing books. There were only old, dusty encyclopedias. No one even uses encyclopedias as their sources for the projects anymore. We search everything on the internet. But aren't there computers in the public library back home? Oh yes, there are. But the internet works maybe once a month, so you could understand why I find the local public library so fascinating. Education. Like the usage of libraries in both places, I often think that education here versus Puerto Rico is vastly different. Even the constructions of the schools are different. Schools in Puerto Rico were completely open, so if it rained, you had to run from one class to another and try not to get wet. I always found my education in Puerto Rico to be okay. I usually got good grades, but I realized I haven't learned anything from my education in Puerto Rico because the only thing I remember is my 9th grade science class. This was due to the fact that I never found the classes interesting. I learned what I had to learn for tests or quizzes, but afterwards, I would have never remembered what I had learned. But we strive for so much more. We still believe we're getting a great education because all of my older friends were getting into college. Everyone wants to go to college. We enjoy education so much that we dream big. We strive for more. We enjoy education because we know others don't have the same opportunities we do. But have the students in the United States ever thought of that? Have they ever thought of dreaming big, striving for more, enjoying education because other people may not have the same opportunities as them? According to Thomas A. Edison, opportunity is missed by most because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. You have all these opportunities and you make up excuses for not giving it your all. It wasn't until I moved to the United States that I realized how much better education can be. The differences between education here versus Puerto Rico is that in Puerto Rico, students want to keep educating themselves and reach big things, whilst the teachers do their jobs to teach you, not to educate you. Meanwhile, in the United States, I met many people who throw their education away, who don't care about school whatsoever to the point of dropping out. I never even knew dropping out was legal until I moved here. But I'm not referring to everyone, of course. But the teachers really care. They're not there sitting, looking pretty, and getting paid. They're actually worried about your future and they want to help. I speak from personal experience. Ever since I moved here, I've had one teacher that always pushed me further into challenging myself, into reaching something I thought I wasn't capable of reaching because people doubted me or because I doubted myself. I felt dumb because I mispronounced words often, or I felt out of place because ever since I moved here, I lived in 4 different homes. But then I realized, those are just excuses. What does this have to do with the fact that I want to educate myself? Why was I trying to sabotage such a great opportunity that I have never been offered before? It was always self-doubt. But that teacher pushed me into reaching something so much greater, and I am grateful for the education I am being offered. You hear all the time, school sucks, or I hate school. The only thing that can make education bad is students themselves with their negative attitudes. Just because they're not interested, they're not dreaming big, or for the very obvious reason that they haven't experienced less. They're so used to having it all, they don't see the great things that people are missing out on. People from other countries go out of their ways to get the least education they can get because they really want just a little knowledge. They really want something in life. They're grateful for the little they have. But students here can be grateful for how much they have. As Milton Berle said, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. People from other countries are building their doors, while your door is already built for you. Can you hear opportunity knocking hard? What are you waiting for to answer? You're waiting to experience less. Then you'll realize how great these opportunities are, and maybe you'll take advantage of them. I read an article from the newspaper Primera Hora from Puerto Rico, which told the story of a young college student who didn't have enough money to even live. But he was getting an education because that is all he wanted. And you know how he got to school? On a horse, every day. And school wasn't close to home either, so the 10-minute drive it had taken him in a car usually took him an hour and 15 minutes on horseback every day because he didn't have enough money for transportation. And this young man was in fact raised in Arizona and then moved to Puerto Rico. He was made fun of for riding a horse to school. But you see, when someone really wants an education, nothing can stop them. When someone really wants something in life, they go out of their ways to reach it. Schools here have public transportation, and you still want to complain about how wrong the system is? I bet you never saw this thing as something so wonderful to take advantage of, because you never knew that somewhere else it's worse. Now, I know a student who graduated from Platt last year who has money and transportation. He couldn't even surpass the first obstacle that came his way. It was as if he wasn't even interested into reaching something more in the first place. He wanted to join the military for the United States. But being from another race, they wanted extra proof that he was a citizen. I guess he really didn't want to do a little bit more paperwork, so he just gave up. Then I heard that the reason he's not going to college is because he did poorly on his SAT scores. As if you couldn't retake SATs. Some colleges in the United States don't even require SATs in the first place, so the only reason he's not going to college is because he's making up excuses. Stop making up excuses. Appreciate and be grateful for the education you can obtain in your own country. As for people like me, we had to move from one country to another to get a better education. Some immigrants go through multiple conflicts and circumstances to get into this country and may even be rejected, and you still don't see the great opportunity you have to even be sitting in a school. You have other students from different countries coming into your country to get a better education. Isn't that enough of a hint to notice how great your education is? If I am being sincere, I am making lifestyle and education in Puerto Rico sound way worse than it actually is. I make it sound that we live in a box under a bridge or something. But did you know that Puerto Rico is ranked 6th in the world for having most students getting any type of education? This and many other reasons is why I am grateful to have lived in both places. Because if I had never moved to the United States, I would have never gotten a better education. But if I had never lived in Puerto Rico, I would have never had such a deep appreciation for education.
Thank you, Zori. I'll start with okay. Our final speaker personalizes an often misunderstood disorder with "You don't have to say I love you," Ali Salafia.
Did you know that 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism every year? My cousin Cameron was the one of those 68. Autism can be defined in many different ways, and it is different for everyone, but according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, autism is medical, a condition or disorder that begins in childhood and that causes problems in developing relationships. But trust me, that is not the true definition of autism. Autism is so much more, and it doesn't have to have that negative connotation with it. With autism being one of the fastest growing developmental disorders in the US, it can be extremely common among families. I'd like to ask all of you if you've ever met anyone with autism. See, I told you. Many people are in denial when they first catch wind that their child may be autistic. They can be very reluctant to admit that their child is not like all the other kids. When my cousin Cameron was young, it was obvious that he was behind other kids his age. At the time he was born, he was diagnosed with a collapsed lung and was then put under 100% oxygen for over 24 hours. He was just a baby. As he grew older, he went through tons of different tests in order to find out why he wasn't developing the same way other kids his age. He was constantly scooting his butt across the floor, and he clapped all the time. When Cameron was 4, he was finally diagnosed with autism. Ever since the day my cousin was diagnosed, my aunt and uncle have been putting their lives aside to help their son. He is now 14 and towers over me at about 6'4". Although he is a very big boy, he does still have a juvenile mind. He loves to watch Elmo and Teletubbies and reads lots of children's books. My entire family is extremely supportive and helpful with Cam, but for some reason, I've always had a special connection with him. At family photos, he stands next to me and I can usually get him to crack a little smile. At Thanksgiving and other holidays, I am the only one who can get him to eat. I like to read a book to him every time we're at my grandparents' house. It's titled Where's Maisie? And it's a flip book where you play hide and go seek with a mouse. Every time you open a flap that Maisie isn't under, it says, "Oops, not here." And every time I read those words, I tap his nose with my finger and his face lights up. We read a knock-knock book too. And whenever it says knock knock, he knocks on the page like he's knocking on a door. When people are out to eat and they see a boy who's being loud or who is misbehaving, they automatically assume, oh, he's a bad kid. But little do they know that that boy sitting 2 tables away, clapping his hands and making loud noises, has autism. They say, control that boy. It is hard to let bad behavior go, but some people need to be more compassionate. Families are doing everything they can in order to integrate their child into normal life. But maybe if people knew more about autism and what to look for in someone who may be on the spectrum, they could be more compassionate. Cam is enrolled in a specialized school that teaches him skills and new ways to live. He has been taught how to make a grilled cheese, wash dishes, fold clothes. All of these things are being taught to him so that he can be more independent in later life. Although autism is different for everyone, although autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disorders in the US, it is severely underfunded. So many children could be helped by the research and funding. Children would be able to take part in activities and opportunities that give them more independence. The Walk for Autism helps to bring funding, but more importantly, it brings awareness to autism. I have walked every year for my cousin in Cameron's brigade. We wear matching camouflage t-shirts and my whole family comes. Not only do we get to help out by donating to the cause and getting new information on autism, but the event gives out tons of things. They give out autism-friendly toys, snacks, t-shirts, and more. They have musical artists and mascots of all the latest kids shows. Yeah, Teletubbies Live. Defining autism is extremely tricky. No 2 children are alike. Some children have light sensitivity, others hate loud noises. Some children are verbal, others are not. But in all cases, autism causes challenges, whether they are communication, social, or behavioral. In Cameron's case, he is unable to speak. This makes it hard to communicate with him, but not impossible. Cam knows how to talk through pictures. He uses photos of staple items so that he can tell people what he wants. If he wants a snack, he can point to a picture of a fridge. If he wants to color, he can point to a picture of a pen and paper. Cam sometimes has a difficult time in large social situations. He usually gets really nervous around loud, large crowds of people like my family, but he is great with a small group or one-on-one. At family events, he will hang out in the busy family room for a little while, but he would much rather be in the comfort of the living room with his TV and his snacks. Children with autism are also very apt to be in tune with animals. Cameron has a special connection with horses, and every weekend he rides to a farm called Manes in Motion, dedicated to helping children with disabilities. He has fallen in love with riding these horses, and just the drive to the farm gets him so excited. He gets on top of the horse, and 2 women help to guide him around the track. Cam loves going down the long trails during his sessions, but he's not very fond of the speech exercises that they make him do while riding. I think that children with autism have a special connection with animals because not only are they too unable to speak, but they're non-judgmental, unbiased, and have no preference. They love anyone who will love them and gives them a snack from time to time. Although there is no cure for autism, there are many treatments to help with the symptoms. Many children take melatonin regularly because sleep disturbances are a common symptom of autism. Cam will only drink his in his juicy juice. There are also hundreds of therapies used to help with the symptoms of autism. Some of these include speech therapy, because many children are nonverbal or have some form of a communication disorder. Physical therapy, which helps with fine and gross motor skills, and family therapy, which not only involves the individual, but anyone in the intermediate family so that they too can learn to help face the challenges brought upon them by autism. This is also a great way for the families to connect with the special child in their life. Some children are also on prescription medications to help with the anxiety and irritability caused by autism. And some children even have to take antipsychotics. But there are many other non-medical ways to help treat the symptoms of autism. Some of these are very simple, like exercise. Many children benefit tremendously from walking, bike riding, and swimming. Slow incorporation of normal social interaction is also a great way to help with the social anxiety brought upon children by autism. Cam loves going for long walks outside, and I think it's really beneficial to him because when he's outside with the warm sun on his skin, it seems to be his happy place. There are many different ways to help someone living with autism. I believe it would be significantly easier to do this with proper funding. I have experienced firsthand some of the amazing things that programs can do for children with autism. Children who take part in these activities, like Cameron's horseback riding, thrive. The funding would support things like autism-friendly rooms. These can be anywhere from in schools to in restaurants. I am very proud to be a part of the Meriden Public School System, where they have invested in an autism sensory room, right in Hanover Elementary School, where my mom works. These rooms are usually quiet rooms with dim lights so that the children with autism can go and calm down or just hang out. Another great thing that this funding could go towards is research to help understand autistic behavior better. A really great program that the funding could go towards is low stimulation movie nights. Children with autism don't get to enjoy regular movie nights because they're dark and scary and just way too loud. Low stimulation movie nights are a great way for children with autism and their families to enjoy a movie together. And it's a great way for children and their families to build better relationships with other families. I think that knowing a child with autism has brought new meaning to my life. Cameron has shown me more than anyone who can talk has. He has shown me pure bliss when I see him atop that giant horse.